Every Formula One legend has a nickname, and each one tells a story. Some were earned through fearless driving, others came from cool heads under pressure, and a few from total chaos on the track. From famous celebrations to dramatic crashes, quiet personalities to fiery tempers, these nicknames reveal the real driver behind the helmet. Here are the 8 Formula One drivers who got their most iconic nickname. 1. James Hunt, Hunt the Shunt. His nickname, Hunt the Shunt, came from his early habit of crashing. If there was a wreck, odds were Hunt was in the middle of it. But the mayhem didn't end on the track. He smoked 3 packs a day, partied harder than anyone in the paddock, and lived fast in every sense. In 1977, at the Canadian Grand Prix in Mosport, his fiery temper exploded. After his car broke down, a marshal ran over to help. Hunt punched him in the face. While most drivers built their legacy on control, James Hunt became infamous for crashing. Early in his career, he wrecked often, earning him the nickname Hunt the Shunt. Hunt's defining moment came in 1976 at the Japanese Grand Prix. The race took place in dangerous rain, but there was no rule to stop it. Niki Lauda, still recovering from a near-fatal crash, chose to withdraw, saying, "My life is worth more than any title." Hunt stayed in. He fought through the storm and finished just high enough to win the championship by a single point. He lived and raced like tomorrow didn't matter. That's why history remembers him as Hunt the Shunt. Just as he survived one storm, another was already waiting on the track. 2. Verstappen and Mad Max. Max Verstappen's nickname, Mad Max, says it all. He doesn't wait for gaps. He forces them. His aggressive style makes him exciting, but also sparks constant controversy.
This is the accident. Oh, and it was the merest of touches, but it was enough. And look how the wheel has come loose from the rim.
Like at the 2021 British Grand Prix, where a clash with Lewis Hamilton sent him into the barriers at nearly 180 miles per hour.
Verstappen right behind Hamilton into the first chicane once again. It's wheel to wheel. Hamilton and Verstappen.
Later that season in Italy, they collided again. This time, Verstappen's car landed on top of Hamilton's.
What the are you guys saying? Unbelievable, mate. I don't get it. What the is this about?
And it wasn't just his driving. Verstappen's radio outburst showed exactly why he was called Mad Max. Even in 2024, after years at the top, Verstappen's temper hadn't faded. A confusing team strategy and yet another clash with Hamilton at the Hungarian Grand Prix left him furious. Proof that success hadn't tamed Mad Max. Verstappen's temper and controversies may fuel criticism, but his results speak louder than any outburst. Championships boost his ego. If Mad Max was defined by fire and fury, the next legend was shaped by something else entirely: silence and calm. 3. Kimi Räikkönen, the Iceman. Kimi Räikkönen wasn't just Ferrari's last world champion. He was the coolest person in the game, and this earned him the nickname, the Iceman. He was someone who stayed calm no matter what Formula One threw at him. Where others cracked under pressure, Kimi stayed cool, quiet, confident, and distant from the drama. He lived up to his nickname on and off the track. He barely spoke and avoided politics. Whether in the paddock or the cockpit, Räikkönen always looked like he couldn't care less. Sometimes he went too far in this. At one instance, he was once seen napping just minutes before a race. But when it mattered, he delivered.
Räikkönen's going to have to lift. He doesn't seem to be lifting, but his panis has blown his engine up. Now I wonder how much that will...
At the 2002 Belgian Grand Prix, a crash at Eau Rouge left the track full of smoke. While others slowed, Kimi drove straight through it without hesitation. In Malaysia in 2009, heavy rain brought the race to a stop. While other drivers sat anxiously in their cockpits, Kimi walked off to the rest area, changed into shorts and a Ferrari golf shirt, grabbed a cold drink, and even dug through a freezer for ice cream, all while the race was still suspended. Kimi Räikkönen showed that in Formula One, you don't need to be fiery to be legendary. With a world title, unforgettable wins, and a cold attitude, he'll always be remembered as the Iceman. The Formula One nicknames aren't always about driving style, are they? Sometimes they capture the personality that fans admired just as much as the racing. 4. Daniel Ricciardo, the Honey Badger. Daniel Ricciardo isn't just remembered for bold overtakes and wild celebrations, he's the Honey Badger. But unlike most drivers, his nickname didn't come from the track, it came from a nature documentary. While watching with his trainer, Ricciardo saw the honey badge, which is a small animal known for being fearless and aggressive. His trainer joked, "Dude, this animal's great. It's just like you." Ricciardo embraced it immediately, even adding the honey badger to his helmet. And he lived up to the name. On track, he was known for fearless late-breaking passes. Off track, his humor, laid-back attitude, and iconic radio moments made him a fan favorite.
Thank you guys.
One of the best came at the 2021 Italian Grand Prix. After an unexpected win, Ricciardo delivered one of the most joyful, hilarious team radios of the season. Proof that the Honey Badger's bite could be just as strong as its smile. Ricciardo's nickname was all about spirit and fun. The next one came from raw speed and a single photo that sealed a legacy. By Mika Häkkinen, the Flying Finn. Mika Häkkinen wasn't just fast, he was the Flying Finn, a nickname that captured both his speed and legacy. Known for his smooth driving and fierce rivalry with Michael Schumacher, Häkkinen earned 2 world titles and a reputation for resilience. But the name Flying Finn didn't just come from results, it came from a single unforgettable photo. At Adelaide's Brewery Bend, Häkkinen's car launched off a curb. Photographer Mark Sutton caught the moment perfectly, snapping Häkkinen mid-air, 6 feet off the ground. That image defined him. From then on, the name stuck, but it wasn't just about one leap. Häkkinen drove like he belonged in the air. Fast, fearless, and focused. He didn't just race, he soared. His nickname came from a photo. The next drivers? From a personality that fans never forgot. 6. Sebastian Vettel, the Finger. There's a surprising fact about Sebastian Vettel. He was a 4-time world champion, but what really made him stand out were his quirks and funny behaviors that made him different from everyone else. In 2010, he became the youngest F1 world champion at just 23, then dominated the grid with 4 straight titles through 2013, but beyond the trophies, 2 things made Vettel unforgettable.
They looked grumpy, didn't they, some of them after the qualifying yesterday. I think the podium's going to look an awful lot happier.
It's the return of the Finger.
First was the Finger. After every win, Vettel raised one finger to the sky, a gesture that became the symbol of Red Bull's dominance. Some fans loved it, others called it arrogant. The second aspect was Inspector Seb. Vettel was known for being curious. He often walked around the paddock, closely looking at other teams' cars before and after races. At Imola, he even ignored his own team's garage just to study the competition.
I don't know.
Je sais pas. Sebastian?
I heard you've been touching my car, is that...
Il me dit que t'as touché ma voiture, c'est
You're
vrai?
looking or touching, he said you were touching my car.
This habit earned him the nickname Inspector Seb, a perfect match for his sharp eye and attention to detail. Vettel's legacy wasn't only about speed, it was also about the unique traits that made him stand out. And after him came a driver whose nickname came from something very different, pure skill behind the wheel. 7. Alain Prost, the Professor. Alain Prost outsmarted everyone on the track. That's why they called him the Professor. While most drivers attacked corners with raw aggression, Prost approached every race like a chess match, strategic, and always 3 steps ahead. Where others wore out their tires chasing speed, Prost focused on consistency. He managed pace and waited for the perfect moment to strike. That precision earned him 51 Grand Prix wins and 4 world titles, securing his place among Formula One's all-time greats. One of his most famous moments came at the 1989 Japanese Grand Prix during a fierce title fight with Ayrton Senna.
This is fantastic!
On lap 47, Senna lunged for a desperate overtake. The two collided. Senna rejoined the race and crossed the finish line first, but was later disqualified for cutting the track. The title went to Prost. It was a clear example of how strategy could beat even the boldest rival. Prost once summed up his mindset perfectly. My ideal is to get pole with minimum effort and win the race at the slowest speed possible. That cool, calculated brilliance is why Alain Prost was the Professor. 8. Pastor Maldonado Crashtor. In Formula 1, you can either earn a nickname with brilliance or by chaos. Pastor Maldonado earned it with chaos. He was fast but unpredictable, and that's exactly how he got the name Crashtor. Early in his career, Maldonado showed flashes of raw speed. In 2012, he shocked the grid by winning the Spanish Grand Prix and proved he had talent, but moments like that were rare. More often, he was in the headlines for the wrong reasons.
Lewis and then takes a swipe at him. unacceptable.
Spins, collisions, and retirements piled up. Between 2011 and 2015, he was involved in more crashes and penalties than almost any other driver on the grid. At times, it seemed like no race could pass without Maldonado getting tangled in something. Fans began calling him Crashtor, a nickname that stuck because it felt impossible to ignore the chaos he brought to every weekend. Yet for all the jokes, Maldonado remained unapologetic. He pushed hard, drove aggressively, and believed in his pace. And that's why, despite the crashes, he left a mark for the one weekend in Spain when it all went perfectly right. In Formula 1, speed wins races, but nicknames build legends. Each nickname tells a story of fearless moves and quirky habits. They capture something deeper than stats ever could, because long after the records fall, the names remain, turning drivers into icons and every race into history.